one of the most famous or infamous new atheists of the 2000s, Sam Harris. The new atheists, for those who don't remember, was Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, Richard Dawkins, and Daniel Dennett. And it was more a publishing phenomenon than it was a real intellectual movement. But it was a bunch of guys who said religion is bad. And they did it because they were attacking Islam, because radical Islam was a big topic of concern then after 9/11. And they used the specifics of Islamic terror attacks to attack religion generally. And a bunch of very shallow-thinking teenagers thought this was really smart. I was one of those shallow-thinking teenagers. I was really taken up by it. The new atheists have aged like milk. And now the new atheists are not even being applauded by the libs because they've transgressed certain norms of wokeness and political correctness. But it's worth remembering, these guys, Hitchens is dead, but Dawkins, Dennett, and Sam Harris, these are, even though they sometimes contradict political correctness, they are men of the left. Sam Harris just proved this when in an interview he said, look, yeah, it's bad that the liberal oligarchy, Twitter and big tech, it's bad that they covered up the Hunter Biden laptop story and they censored the New York Post and they stopped people from messaging the story, which was damaging to the Bidens, to one another. That's bad, but, look, it was to stop Trump, so yeah, censor away.
At that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared, right? It's like, there's nothing. First of all, it's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden, but even if whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is, like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and understand that he's getting kickbacks from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever else, right? Or China, it is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved in. Now that doesn't answer the people who say it's still completely unfair to not have looked at the laptop in a timely way and to have shut down the New York Post's Twitter account. Like that's just a conspiracy. That's a left-wing conspiracy to deny the presidency to Donald Trump. Absolutely, it was. Absolutely, right? But I think it was warranted.
It was a left-wing conspiracy. It was censorship. It was wrong. Maybe it was illegal. I don't know. But who cares? It was all sorts of sinful and all sorts of terrible, but it was worth it. So on the surface, this story is not that interesting. Wow, one of the most famous atheists in America is advocating immorality. Not exactly a man bites dog story, of course. The guy has no real solid moral foundation. He has tried to create some way of justifying the existence of objective morality without God. That is a fool's errand. That's not possible. So when push comes to shove, when it gets to something he really, really wants, like kicking Trump out of office, he says, yeah, the ends justify the means. It's immoral, but whatever, who cares? Sure. The bigger takeaway here is that the libs will do anything to stop Trump and his supporters, even Sam Harris. Sam Harris, by today's standards, is one of the more moderate libs. And even he says, yeah, do anything to stop Trump. Because they called Trump Hitler. They said Trump is Hitler, Trump is the embodiment of evil. And so if they use that kind of language for Trump and his supporters, and you and me, folks, and anyone to the right of Hillary Clinton, if they use that kind of language, then of course they will do absolutely anything to stop us. We can't be surprised when people who kill the babies and trans the kids and rig elections and censor all sorts of material and who admit that these things are immoral, when they do those sorts of things, we cannot be surprised. There's nothing they won't do to stop the evil orange man. Right now, go to goodranchers.com/Knowles. Regardless of what the Biden administration defines as a recession, Americans are worried. They're feeling it. Food and gas prices are higher than I've ever seen in my lifetime. That is why I am so grateful for my favorite meat delivery service, Good Ranchers. Good Ranchers offers an inflation-proof subscription model that lets you lock in your price the day you subscribe. I don't know how this works. I hope Good Ranchers can stay in business. This is such a good deal. You subscribe right now. You can either buy a box of meat, absolutely top quality meat, and you just buy a one-off box and you enjoy it, or you can subscribe. And for the whole life of your subscription, it will never go up. Do it right now. This is the most insane deal I've ever seen. GoodRanchers.com/Knowles. Use code Knowles at checkout. You get $30 off plus free shipping. Lock in that price. Recession-proof your meals for life. Inflation-proof your meals for life. You'll be automatically entered to win 30 minutes, by the way, of all access with me on September 30th if you do that. This offer ends August 31st. We're calling it a meet and greet. Go to GoodRanchers.com/Knowles. Use code Knowles at checkout.
Hey, Michael. So I have a funny story that kind of relates to what you were talking about in a previous episode. So in 2012, I believe, when Obama was running, a felon from, I think it was Texas, beat him in a lot of West Virginia counties. Like, it was 40-60. Like, it was really close. Made me laugh. Complete topic change right here. My sister, who's been struggling with infertility, we were talking. She asked me how I felt about Roe versus Wade. I said I 110% agree. It shouldn't have even been decided in the first place. Like, it was great that it was overturned. And she said, I agree. Abortion should never be used as birth control because, women are responsible for their actions, right? And then we got to the topic of rape. She said, and I quote, if I went out today, got raped, and got pregnant, me being infertile, I would 100% no questions asked get an abortion. That made no sense to me. And then she got really mad at me when I said, execute the rapist. Don't execute the baby. The baby had nothing to do with it. So we went back and forth, and then she got really mad at me. But, I mean, we're still cordial. Like, I'm close with my sister. But, yeah, that argument made absolutely no sense. Thank you.
A good point. Yes, the argument doesn't make sense, but it's one that I've found a lot of pro-life people and conservatives stumble on. They get tripped up on when they are confronted with it, which is, what about the case of rape? Are you telling me that if a woman is raped and becomes pregnant, that you would make her carry that baby to term? And of course, the percentage of abortions that take place in the context of rape, it's less than 1%. So it's really just a distraction because the libs don't want to deal with statistically 100% of abortions, which are elective. So they bring that up, and this is the hard case. But the premise here is that you can undo the rape. You can make the rape all better. You can make the rape go away if you just kill the baby. And that's a ridiculous premise. We should not accept that premise. The woman is raped. Now she's pregnant and confronted with a choice. Do you kill the baby or not? The two questions from a moral standpoint are completely unrelated. The rape is bad. The rape is a trauma. The woman is going to have to work through that rape. Spiritually, psychologically, perhaps physically. Abortion isn't going to fix any of that. Then you have the question, should the woman kill the baby? In addition to that. And by the way, if the woman does kill the baby, and they're not going to tell you this in the pro-abortion lecture or class, if the woman does kill the baby, she's going to have a trauma from that too. One, she's going to have to, in a sense, give birth to it. One way or the other. You've got to get the baby out of there. And two, she's going to have the nagging guilt of the reality that she killed the baby. So you're adding trauma onto trauma. But even putting that aside for a second, nothing about getting the abortion is going to in any way change the rape. So you've got to call them out on that. You say, yeah, I don't think that women who have been victimized and raped should then have the additional trauma of committing a murder. I'm so glad you like that clip. Now, before you go, look, we got over 1 million subscribers. I love that. I want 1 trillion, okay? And the first step to 1 trillion subscribers is you clicking that bell. So ring it, click it, ding dong, wada wada bing bong. We'll see you next time.